G'day from Australia, and welcome to another episode of Halfling House. And today we're going to do a quick review of the Wargames Atlantic Mounted Cavalry Halflings. So I have one sprue here, which can build up to a total of 2 cavalry units. And you might be wondering why I purchased this. Well, I purchased it to go as a mounted knight for my Mordheim Halfling warband that we have pictured here. These are made up predominantly of the old Citadel Halflings, C11 Halflings mostly, sculpted by the Perry twins. So that will be my Halfling warband, and I need a Halfling mounted knight and also an ogre. So I'm going to go with the Wargames Atlantic for that. I also thought about getting the Wargames Atlantic ogres, but I feel the Citadel ogres suit the Citadel miniatures a lot better, so I'll be going with one of those. So here's an example of one of my Citadel mounted halflings. This is a converted priest-slaughter halfling on a dwarven pony. So I could use that for my Mordheim warband. Yeah, maybe it would suit, but I kind of want a more heroic sort of knight. So that's, yeah, one pony I have there. This is one I just painted up, which I might potentially use as well. I haven't quite decided, because I do have a Halfling Cavalry unit to paint up for my Halfling army, and this is a conversion I did with a Heresy Barbarian Halfling on sort of more like a Chaos style horse pony. But then again, he might suit Mordheim, I think, but I don't think he fits in well with that warband that I have going on. Oh, and this is the rider of that other painted pony. So yeah, I'll do a quick review of what is in the sprue. So you have 2 horses here and 4 separate components. And these can be mixed and matched, so that can go with that, but then they can also go vice versa. So I think, and then it has 3 different heads, 1 head there, there, and there. And I think that makes, let's go, I think maybe about 12. You can have 12 different ponies, if my math's probably incorrect. And these are the reins there as well. So yeah, you can mix and match. Yeah, so 3 ponies there are 2 different ponies that can make up 12. And then you have the 2 bodies here. And I think they're identical from what I've seen. But yeah, this sprue is very, very versatile. So I think there's 14 heads in total. A bunch of different arms. So you have the arms here. These are like the jousting knight jousting arms, and that one here would be used for like a jousting tournament, so that the riders don't get injured if that's, you know, want to do something with halflings there. So yeah, you have 3 knighted jousting poles, and then here you have 3 spears, holding spears, 2 sort of holding as they ride, and 1 throwing. And to go with the throw-in there, you have this little pack of 3 spears. You have 2 shields, so if you want to have them with shields, you have 2 there. And then you have some sword arms as well. I'm just trying to see where they are. Yeah, just over here. You got 2 sword arms, and then these are like your loose arms to hold the shields. And then you have, I think there's a arm there holding a bear, which is a bit ridiculous. Riding a pony with a pint. It's kind of stupid, in my opinion. And then you have a point in hand there. And you have a lot of accessories too. You got sausages, you got swords, assortment of different like foods there as well, here as well. Not really sure what they are. And then yeah, you have a whole range of heads. So what's the best way to show this without knocking my camera? So the helmeted heads are in like a Lord of the War of the Roses, sort of 100 Years War style. So that you could use them pretty easily as Bretonnian halflings if you want. And there's like 2 knight heads, and then these are the 2 without helmets. So yeah, I really do like the helmeted heads and these knight ones there. And then you have, I think, 5 more here. So the detail on these miniatures are excellent. So anyone who isn't aware, Wargames Atlantic, the owner of Wargames Atlantic, actually did the old Wargames factory plastic miniatures in the old days, which I think they were computer sculpted, but they were absolutely horrific. But yeah, he's obviously learned a lot, and you can see the detail on those faces and arms and everything is really, really good. So I think there's 14 heads all up. 5 there. Actually, there might be more than 14. There's 16 heads. So 5 here. 5 from there. 2, yeah, 4 here. But then there's also these ones. It might be hard to show. You can see 2 heads here. So these are heavily armored, completely armored heads. It's hard to show. Maybe I'll show them once I take them off the sprue. I can't get the angle right. But yeah, that's pretty cool. 16 heads. So you got 16 heads, up to 12 different horses. What's that? 6 arms. Maybe about 12 different, arm options. So you could have endless options for conversions and so forth. Yeah, pretty cool product. Very, very versatile. I think a box comes with 10 cavalry per box. So you could potentially have them all like with lances, or you could have them all with swords, or with spears, or mix them up however you prefer. So a lot of versatility there. And you could probably kit bash with their, I think they're halfling men-at-arms or foot soldiers, which I'm not really a fan of. They're nice. They're nice models. They're nicely detailed. If you wanted like a full halfling army at a cheap cost, it's a really good way to go. But for me, they just wouldn't go. They don't fit well with the Citadel halflings. They're much taller, leaner, sort of different sculpts. They wouldn't suit my army. Where with the cavalry, you kind of get away with that. And so for instance, here's a pony here. Once you sort of take that out of the sprue, just trying to get them side by side, there's probably not going to be a giant scale difference. I'll do it at a comparison at the end. And then here's the knight. So he is bigger from what I can see, but not massively bigger. So it's probably not going to matter too much. So there you have it. I think they're potentially some of the best halfling cavalry you can get, especially when you're thinking regiments and at a cost, at a very good price. So you do have, I think, Mantic what do they have? They have mounted pigs or something, and then other people have mounted goats. It's, yeah, not really my thing. I prefer ponies. Goats and pigs is sort of getting a little bit stupid, in my opinion. Even though, you know, halflings are meant to be fun, but, you know, I think out of all the other halflings mounted cavalry out there, these are the best. The only other ones I'd recommend are the tag halflings. They're all metal miniatures. They're more in a Landsnet sort of style, but they look really cool. Heavy, they have light and heavy and archers. They have a massive range too. So maybe at some point I'll review those. But yeah, these are very cost effective. I got this pretty cheap, so just bought the Sprue independently. So anyway, so what I'll do now is I'm gonna take all the parts off, and I'm gonna do a mix and match and just do a review, contrast of the scale, but also show examples of, you know, different minis you can make from these. So yeah, bear with me 1 second. So I've got all the components off of the sprues. You see different horse heads that have specific bridles for each head. The bodies, all of the arms are different, except 2 of these are the same on the jousting pole that doesn't want to focus. And then there's all the heads there, so you can see them. These are the ones I was talking about. Man, this is hard to hold and do at the same time. Sorry. I don't know if that's going to focus. Maybe not going to focus very well. That's like the fully enclosed helmet. Yeah, so that's a good view of all different heads. 3 with the visors up in the middle, 1 with it down. I might be missing 1 head, actually. But yeah, pretty cool. And then these are the accessories. These are all these like little food bits, sausages. That one is maybe litmus bread. I'm not sure what all of those are. Maybe like a piece of chicken or something. I won't put those on the knights that I paint. I'll use them as accessories to do conversions on other halflings. So yeah, this is how they just snap together really easily, and they're all interchangeable. So what I'll do, is I'll blue tack a few together and show you different options. Okay, so just been busy sticking them all together, and I have some of the ponies completed. Sorry, my light is pretty bad at the moment. Let's see if that's better. So that one there, as you can see, the detail's pretty sweet. So I went for a dramatic pose on this one, sort of raring a little bit. So yeah, really nice detail there. And I'll do a size comparison with, let's try and do this. So it is a little bit bigger than, say, the ponies, but nothing drastic. I think once painted up, you're not going to notice much of a difference, although the horse head maybe isn't quite as cartoony as that one. So that was one pose I had, and then this one, sort of like a trotting pose. So yeah, so you can see, sorry, I'm having issues with my light. So 2 ponies there. I think they came out pretty good. Really nice details. The only criticism I have, like, there's not many mold lines on this, but where the parts attached to the sprue, a lot of them are in kind of quite awkward sort of critical places that it's like hard to remove cleanly, because it's very hard plastic. So you can see on the horse's nose right there. Yeah, it might be able to hide it with some green stuff, and also there. And on the heads too was kind of annoying. Here's one I haven't cleaned up. You can see it's like right on the helmet, right on the sort of detail part, when they could potentially do it underneath the helmet, you know what I mean? So it's not going to really mess with the figure, the detail as much. So you can see, yeah, nice details on that one. Yeah, it was kind of annoying. Same again here. That one's not as bad, you can see. Then on the pole, I suppose on the pole it's probably harder to not do it. But anyway, so yeah, there's two of the ponies. And I built up two potential character models. I just blue tack them together just so you can gauge an idea of their positions. So you can see, like, mostly armored on the legs and chest. Nice detail there. That might be quite a cool character, just with a sword pointing away. A second one I won't do, but it was just more of illustrative purposes, with the pint of beer. Little crazy for riding a horse with a pint of beer. Maybe if it was like a foot soldier or something, I wouldn't mind as much. So I'll do a comparison on the size of the men. So this is a Citadel miniature. So you can see he's bigger than the Citadel miniature. Not dramatically, but there is a size difference. But size-wise, he's not going to be much bigger than the Warhammer. So the Warhammer, like Landsnet halflings, are taller and stockier than the C11 halflings. So this might be slightly slimmer, but about the same height. And again, I think when it's mounted on a horse, you're not going to really notice, as opposed to being a rank and file. So I don't know, I'll put these on the ponies so you can get an idea. So there's one model on a pony. You'd probably want them sitting back a little bit more, or even more than that. Let's see. So yeah, for me, with the beer pint is a bit stupid. I'll put the other one. Actually, yeah, I think I like the pose of the one I'm about to put on the horse. I think would make a cool character. Very heroic. So that's a lot better than the other one. So maybe that's a potential pose, at least that I might go with. And I'll compare that to my other mounted halflings so you can see them side by side. But you got to bear in mind again, the C11 halfling is a very, very small halfling. So maybe not dramatically. Looks like a big size difference there, but it might be the angle as well. Let's do it. So doable. But I think the long tails match with that one quite nicely. So there, it doesn't look like a huge size difference. So I'll do a few more poses. Okay, two more examples. I like this one. Riding with a spear, pointing. I think that one looks really, really good. I think that will be one I'll probably go with. And another example of a spear. This is the throw-in spear. Looks a little bit, it's like, it's workable. Maybe it's the arm, but I feel that pose looks a bit stagnant and a bit awkward. But I might swap that arm for one of shield arms. That one doesn't work as well. Maybe this one. There, that looks a bit better. Once I position it a little bit better on the pose. So that would work. So yeah, a lot of versatility. Probably won't go, I'll go with the pointing pose, I think, but not the other one. But say if you're doing 10 of these, then, you know, that could be a pose you go with. So I'll try, and they also have this too, which I forgot to attach, which can go on, meant to go with the guy throwing the spear, I think. Whoops, so he's like a javelin thrower. Something like that. All right, on to the next pose. Okay, two more poses, and these are more the jousting poses. That's like for the jousting tournament. That works pretty well. I wouldn't use the jousting pole, as I'd want to use a more of a spear, but I really do like that helmet. It's quite ominous, you know, not being able to see any of his face. And then with the shield there. The poses are a little bit out of what they would probably look like just because of the blue tack. But I think you get an idea of it there. So that's quite a heroic pose. And then with the just to show the other style head. Maybe that pose doesn't work so well with that shield. I think that shield would probably work better with a hero and a sword. Yeah, the dynamics of that pose in general probably don't look very good. And I don't like that helmet as much. But I do really like that helmet, so that's going to be on the short list. And then, so there you've seen the swords, characters, spears, and jousting, I suppose, jousters. So I'll come back with the poses that I'm probably going to finalize for the two models. Okay, I've finally selected the two poses that I was going to be going with. The first one is a mounted man-at-arms. I went with that pointing pose with the spear, which I really liked. And then I went with the helmet, the one where you can't see his face. Yeah, really like that. I thought it's made him look kind of more, I don't know, more of a badass, sort of tough halfling character. So it would be awesome as like a hero or something like that. So yeah, great minis. So we'll see how these paint up. I sort of botched up the glue in on his shoulder a little bit. I had to reposition it a couple of times. But yeah, really like that. So that's the first one. Now the second one, I was saying that I wanted a halfling knight, a very heroic halfling. So this is the guy I've gone with. I feel that really fits the bill. Almost like a Crusader knight with the elaborate jousting pole and a shield. So I think that would be awesome as a halfling knight for Mordheim. So yeah, just a bit more heroic than the Citadel one I had, which is more of an adventure style halfling. So overall, impressed with the detail on these models, and yeah, endless options. You know, you could get 2 or 3 boxes of this and have a regiment, say, of swordsmen, a regiment of spearmen, and a regiment of heavy knights. Really, really cool. Yeah, you can see that detail. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed the review. If you're interested to see how they come out once I paint them, feel free to like and subscribe. I won't do this straight after this video because it's already long enough. But yeah, I think even both of those would look awesome in Mordheim. It's very characterful. So I might go with a similar scheme like that, like a pony. This is actually quite hard to paint because you can see the details on this are very chiseled and very defined, where the details on this, you can see like the deeper from the wash. Those are all the recesses on that model. So it came out kind of interesting. So I think obviously suits the old school sort of theme. But I think these newer ones will come out a lot cleaner with the detail more defined and more evenly layered versus these old hand sculpted models, which is still cool in their own right, I think. So there we go, little halfling mounted hero. Cheers for watching, guys. Yeah, feel free to follow on and see more updates in the near future.